Welcome viewers, I am Sip Kumar Vyas, the faculty of School of Engineering Technology, Indira Gandhi National University. We are conducting program of BSc in Nautical Science for Merchant Navy, and today we have with us Mr. Indraveer Singh Solanki, who is the faculty at ARI New Delhi. This institute is one of the institutes which is running our program BSc Nautical Science, and Captain Solanki, he has done his besides whatsoever training he had in his shipping, that master, extra master? Master. Besides that, he has done his master's degree in maritime affairs from University of Malmö, Sweden. So he will enlighten us regarding the career opportunities in Merchant Navy. And over to Captain Solanki, please.
Okay, good morning everybody. What we will discuss is career options in Merchant Navy. First of all, we need to know what is Merchant Navy. When we talk of Merchant Navy, it is not associated with defense, that means Navy as a combat force. It is a civilian shipping industry which is consisting of public and private companies operating a wide variety of ships ranging from small tugs to ultra large crude oil carriers. And if we talk about shipping as such, the importance of shipping is so much that even the pen which we use today is coming somewhere or the other through shipping industry. So therefore, the shipping industry is very important and it is critical to our day-to-day life, and the shipping industry is invisibly rendering or giving this service to the society. Now let us see what different type of ships are there. First, tugs. Now tug is basically used in assisting in completion of a voyage of a vessel, that means in berthing a ship or unberthing of a ship, towing a ship when she is in distress, that means she cannot herself move from place A to place B. Then we talk of bulk carriers. The grain which comes to us comes through these ships, ore, iron ore, which is used in factories for you can say steel production, which helps us in construction of houses, etc. Then we talk of car carriers. Even cars which are being exported from India or are being imported into India is coming through these car carriers. Also trucks and vehicles are carried through car carriers. Then we talk of container vessels. This is the largest vessel, Lema Maersk, which can carry over 10,000 containers, and one container is one truckload, and all you can say value goods like television, electronic goods or even ready-made garments are shipped through the containers, and they offer door-to-door service. That means from factory to factory these containers move, and you must have seen across in your cities when these containers are on the trucks being exported from one place to the other. Then we talk of passenger vessels. This is a upcoming industry, cruise industry. Even in India now, the cruise industry is coming, and you have cruise ships coming into Bombay Harbour where Indian citizens want to travel on cruise vessels which do 1 week or 10 days or 14 days cruise trips to Singapore and worldwide. Then we talk of gas. We know we use gas in our households. So the gas comes through, is being transported through liquid nitrogen gas carriers, and it is a upcoming industry. So it comes to the gas terminals from gas resources, like for example in Dahej presently in India. So it comes there, and from there then it is shipped through into large, you see the road tankers, gas tankers, and then that comes through, you can say, a small terminal where it is bottled into gas cylinders, or it comes through pipeline from these big terminals where these ships berth. Then we are talking of oil tanker vessels. So they are actually over 3 lakh ton of oil these vessels can carry when we talk of ultra large crude oil carriers. And the oil it's a booming industry even now. The oil today is costing $100 a barrel, which was last year about say $40 odd a barrel. So it is still, and in India there is a need for oil for, you can say, upcoming, our economy is upcoming economy, so we need oil, and that's why worldwide also there is a need for this transportation of this ship. Then we talk of why shipping industry, what is the importance, and it is invisibly doing this service. If we talk of 90% of the world trade is carried through shipping industry. So it is a huge volume which the shipping industry carries. Therefore, we need shipping. Shipping is the most environment friendly mode of transport. It doesn't, you can say, when we talk of per ton pollution, the pollution in case of shipping industry is the least. Then it is the cheapest mode of transport. If we compare, the shipping is 1/5 less costlier than the truck transport. So that's why the shipping industry is important. If we talk of environment friendly, we can see here that the shipping industry is the least pollutant industry, barely 21 to 15 grams per ton kilometer of carbon dioxide it is emitting. Whereas if we talk of air carrier, it is 540. So it is a huge difference when we talk of shipping goods through the ships. Then when we talk of cost per ton mile, so we can see here that per ton it will cost $5 for a particular good to be shipped, and if we talk of ships, it is barely costing $1. So that's the difference. Now the shipping industry is growing, so what we need is, there is presently a shortage of ships officers, mainly not in the ratings, but in case of ships officers there is acute shortage because of the trade. The worldwide economy has grown because of worldwide economic growth. In India we are talking of 8% growth, in China it is over 10%. So these actually booming economies are actually also in a way assisting the shipping industry, because shipping industry is actually a service industry. So therefore it is servicing the servicing the world trade. As I talked, 90% of the world trade is carried through shipping. So therefore it is dependent on the world trade also, and the world trade is growing, so is the sea trade. You can see the growth is very high growth in case of sea trade. The world fleet growth also is there. It is again connected with the sea trade. If we see, the world fleet growth is about 7.2% every year. The number of ships are being added into the shipping industry worldwide, and so therefore there is, because of that, there is a shortage. There is demand of officers on ships. When we talk of Indian fleet growth is also 8%. So we can see here over a period between 2005 to 2006, it has grown to 892, which is about 8% growth in the Indian shipping also. So it is not only world shipping, it is also the Indian shipping which is growing. Now coming to the main focus, why Merchant Navy as a carrier. So when we talk of manning on ships, the officers are, you can say, or rather the ship's crew is the main operating force which moves the vessels from place A to place B. Excuse me. Now based on the statistics by BIMCO, one of the international agency. So you can see here in 2005 they had predicted a shortage of 10,000. Now that shortage, which is likely to increase in 2010, it will increase to 23,000. Now, and by 2015 it will reach 30,000. When we talk of this shortage, prediction was based on about 1.5% fleet growth, but the fleet growth in the past years has averaged to 6.5%. So therefore the shortage will not only be what is mentioned about 23,000 or 30,000 officers, it will be much more than that. It will be about 40,000 by 2010. So we are looking for actually a career where there is demand, where the job security or surety is there, and that's why Merchant Navy career option is a very good option. Why career in Merchant Navy? So we talk of, first thing is shortage of officers, therefore there is job security also. So there is demand, because why the shortage is there? Because supply is less, supply of trained officers. Now it is not, you can say it takes time for an officer to be trained. It takes, you can say on an average, the training time is about 4 years for an officer to become 3 to 4 years on an average. We can say by the time one does his certificate of competence, when he is eligible to sail as an officer, it takes 4 years from the time he starts to look for this career. So that's why there is a gap, and that gap needs to be filled up. The growth is faster than this gap was envisaged earlier. Now wages are also very good, they are on the rise. That's why this difference you can see, it varies between, for a third officer, the first time when a candidate after completion of training, he becomes third officer, so he will be getting about $1,500, which is roughly presently 60,000 Indian rupees. Now this is also likely to be tax free, because it's income which is drawn in foreign currency, provided the candidate stays outside India for more than 183 days in a particular year. So then this will be a tax-free income, and on board there are no expenditure. Boarding and lodging is free. So therefore the wages are, we can say, more or less take-home wages. So there is no expenditure involved there. And for one to become master, it will take 10 years. But 10 years roughly, it is not that one can become captain once there has to be performance and examination link is there. But still there is a opportunity to earn from $6,000 to 9,000. And in certain trade where specialized trade like gas, the wages have already reached about $13,000 per month. So these are wages not annual, these are per month wages, where $13,000, so we are talking of about 5 lakh rupees a month. And though it is not you can say average, it is for specialized trade, but that can only happen if one joins the Merchant Navy, takes Merchant Navy as a career. Then the next good thing about this career is one gets to see foreign countries without cost on the job itself. So one gets to visit foreign countries, though one may not get that much time as one desires, but still there is time which will be available. One can see not only foreign countries, also one is able to be close to nature. So when we talk of nature, basically sea where there is no pollution, and if one can see good sunset, sunrise, etc. So that is what is there in Merchant Navy career. Then when we talk of adventure, in fact in the olden days one used to take to shipping for the sake of adventures. Adventure related with bad weather, visiting different countries, different islands which were never visited by anybody at times. So that was the adventure one was talking of, and that is still today. Adventure also in terms of you can say different trade which is coming today. Earlier gas was not being carried on ships. Today we have gas carriers. Juice carriers. Juice is being carried also. So that also is a different skill or different knowledge one gets. Challenge, yes. We face challenges of weather, because one is at sea where the weather can become bad, winds can be very strong winds, and challenges also of the job, because you are at sea on your own with a crew of say 20-25 people, and if there is a problem then one has to manage in that resource itself. So that's how it can be a challenge as well. Then when we talk of again promotions in this career is also very fast. As I said, that once one starts training, from training to become master, one can become a captain of a ship, which is the, you can say, highest rank for a sailing ship in merchant navy. So one can become captain in 10 years from the day of training, but again it is linked with one's performance and passing of examinations. Early responsibility. When we talk of a ship, it is a multi-million ship. On that, if one is carrying cargo, it can be also millions of dollars. The largest ship, Emma Maersk, can have a liability of about 10 billion US dollars. So an officer, after, you can say a third officer at the age of about 21-22, would be in charge of this vessel, whose liability can be 7.2 billion US dollars. So that means one is responsible. So the responsibility comes in this job pretty fast. Independence. Independence, we talk of basically one is independent to make decisions. For example, you are officer of the watch, so you have to make decisions for you can say for navigation of the vessel from place A to place B. That's how the independence is linked. This is the job in which the flexibility, I think it is one of very good thing about this job is flexibility. One can work as long as one desires to work and can quit. There are options where one can work 15 days on, 15 days off, 1.5 month on, 1.5 month off, 6 month on, 6 month off, or then there are also regular jobs where one works for 3 months on and 2 months off. That means there is a lot of flexibility in job. One can choose different type of options. One can also stay long, earn money, and then can stay at home. One does not retire, or one though retirement in certain countries there is a age, but mainly it is linked with medical. It is medically linked, where one has to be medically fit, because every time you join you have to pass a medical fitness exam. Social cause, as I said, that 90% of the goods are shipped through shipping, so therefore it is you are working also for towards a social cause, as well as one you can say starts to earn very young, so therefore one can support his family, and if one is also wants to donate, so one is also in a position to donate money as well. So therefore the social cause also comes in. And one does not have to bother about, because you are staying on board ship, so you don't have to bother about traveling from place A to place B. That means from your home to job, you are already on board ship. Now coming to manning requirement. What is the manning requirement? When we talk of manning, so actually there are 3 departments on board a vessel. When we talk of, one is a deck department, then you have engine department and a saloon department. Now the purpose of these departments have also got levels. When we talk of management level, where we talk of captain and chief officer, operation level on the deck side we talk of second officer, third officer, and support level, which is ratings. That means you have able-bodied seamen who support in certain operations, like also in navigating the vessel as well as maintenance of the vessel. In case of engine department, also we have management, operation, support. So management is chief engineer and second engineer, whereas operation is third engineer, fourth engineer, and support also we have ratings, engine ratings for support. In case of saloon department, it is only a support department, where it is supporting basically the catering facilities on board a vessel. The shortage so far, what I have discussed, is mainly linked with shortage of officers. There is no shortage of ratings at the moment, and so one has to be, when one wants to take a career at shipping, career in shipping or career in merchant navy, one has to be very careful not to look for options in ratings, because there is a lot of competition, especially in India. There is a lot of competition in ratings. The number of jobs are very few in ratings as compared to the supply. So because for ratings the qualification is also low qualification, matric qualification only, whereas for officers the qualification is higher, and that's why there is shortage as well as demand is there in this. So we'll talk about how to become a deck officer. So there are different, there are three schemes. One of the scheme, the last scheme 3 is discontinued though. Talk of the first scheme, which is a 3-year degree course leading to a BSc degree in nautical science. The entrance to this scheme is through an entrance, combined entrance test of IIT or a joint entrance exam conducted by IIT, and the second is DG approved open scheme, sponsored or non-sponsored scheme. Entrance is through OpenNet conducted by IGNOU, and the entry level is 10+2. It can be BSc, it can be Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Technology in Engineering Sciences. The last scheme, which was earlier, it used to be 3.5 month of pre-C training program for 10+2 or BSc or BE and BTech students. That is discontinued for providing future career options for merchanting officers who do not want to sail after, you can say, doing some sea career. Coming to scheme 1, so we have 3-year course which is leading to BSc degree in nautical science. It is done by TS Chanakya. Academic qualification is 10+2 or equivalent examination with physics, chemistry, maths and English as separate subjects, with a PCM average of not less than 60% marks. English is 50% marks requirement. Age requirement maximum is 20 years, and medical standard 6/6 eyesight, which is unaided without use of glass, and no club blindness. Then selection, as I said earlier, it is through All India IIT joint entrance exam. After going through this training of 3-year ashore, this is all done ashore, one has to do 12 months of sea service, and after that one does an examination to become third officer. So this is scheme 1. Then when we talk of scheme 2, which is Director General of Shipping approved open scheme of sponsored and non-sponsored candidates through entrance exam, it conducted by IGNOU as well as by shipping companies, which will be done, you can say, only probably in this batch. After that it will be all exam through OpenNet or CET. Eligibility for this entry to this scheme is 10+2 or equivalent exam with physics, chemistry, maths and English as separate subjects, with a PCM average not less than 55% and minimum of 50% marks in English. Also the entry to this scheme is you can say for BSc students with physics, provided they have scored 10+2 in 10+2 physics, chemistry, maths 55%. So then they are eligible to this scheme. The difference is mainly basically for age. So one, if suppose one missed the boat after 10+2 and age is was on that side and he wants to join now, so then the age is there 22 years. So the age requirements 20 years in case of 10+2 students, 22 for BSc physics students, and 24 is for Bachelors of Engineering or Technology student. That is the age limit for we can say for technical graduates. Medical standards are same as in the scheme 1, which is 6/6 non-aided and non-club blindness. Now we use the word sponsored and non-sponsored candidate. Actually, when we talk of this scheme, so there is a or even in the earlier scheme, there is need for sea service. In the scheme 1, the sea service requirement was or sea service training was for 1 year. In case of IGNOU scheme, it is 18 months. So the sponsored candidates, when we talk of, that means after the training they will be able to go on board ships to complete that C service, which is mandatory requirement for him to give an exam to become an officer. So just by doing this training of 12 months, one cannot become officer, he cannot go to C and is not eligible. So therefore there is need for sponsorship, and that's why the link was there for, you can say, link to shipping, or the shortage in shipping is there because of that. So when we talk of sponsored candidates, to get selected through company specific entrance exams, the company conducts interviews also in the institutes. They come in the institutes, or the institutes link up with the companies to get sponsorship for the candidates. Sometimes companies advertise and they select their own candidates. That is possible only for the batch which will be starting in January. But in August, from August 2008, it will be all through OpenNet and CET. But sponsorship will be still. They would need sponsorship. IGNOU does not confirm sponsorship. The sponsorship has to be obtained by the students, generally by the institutes who are selecting, or the candidates themselves. And since there is shortage, therefore sponsorship is possible if one is good. For non-sponsored candidates, one has to again qualify the entrance exam, and which is conducted by IGNOU and CET. And again, as I said, one has to try for sponsorship when he is doing his training. The scheme 2 program of training is stage 1. One has to go through 12 months of pre-C training, which is done. It's a contact program done ashore in training institutes, approved by Director General of Shipping. After completion of this, one gets a diploma in nautical science. After that, 18 months of sea service is there, and during that sea service, he has to go through a structured shipboard training program, which is a distance learning program, supported by institutes, approved by IGNOU, and after completion of that, award of advanced diploma in nautical science will be there. Thereafter, once the sea service is complete, then he has to go through 6 months of preparation for the certificate of competency. One, to become an officer, he has to pass this exam, which will be written an oral exam, for which there is a preparatory course of 6 months of classes conducted by approved training institutes, and then the candidate sits for the exam, and once on passing of this exam, one can become an officer. Then that the wages what I talked about, $1,500 or $2,500, from that time onwards it starts. During stage 2 also there is some element, one gets some stipend of about $300, but it varies from company to company. But in case of after COC, definitely the wage structure of $1,500, starting wages of $1,500 and upwards depending on company to company is available. But one has to know that what is mandatory is first going through pre-C, after that doing shipboard service of 18 months, thereafter 6 months of training ashore again, and sit for the competency exam. Until and unless this competency exam is passed, one cannot sail as an officer on board, and passing percentage is about, you can say, 70% plus. So it is not that bad, it is a good 70% plus. One gets chances to appear again generally after every 2 or 3 months. So it is not that it comes only once a year. The exams are conducted regularly, so one can reappear any number of times, but one has to prove his competence. So that, because we are talking of in a one-off case we talk of $7.2 billion US. In other cases it can be even millions of dollars, but still it is a lot of money. And after passing this exam, he will be during some part of his duty, he will be in charge of this million US asset. So therefore he has to be competent to handle this vessel. Then the further structure of the career is after second mates. That means once one has become third officer. So this COC what I talked about is a second mate's foreign going exam COC, which he passes. Thereafter, after passing this, he has to again go do sail when he earns his wages, and during the same time that sea service counts towards the exam. So that is 18 months of seagoing service, as an officer in charge of a navigational watch. After that, he is eligible to sit for another exam, which is called first mate foreign going exam, divided into two, phase 1 and phase 2. But once he passes this exam, then he is eligible to become chief officer. That means from operational level, so earlier was operational level exam, now he comes at management level, so he becomes a chief officer, where the wages are much higher, about you can say $3,500 and plus. Thereafter, again he has to sail for 18 months. It varies from 12 months to 18 months depending on his rank, and then he is eligible to sit for another exam, which is called Master of Foreign Going. Once he passes this exam, then he is eligible to become captain. It is passing of the exam does not mean he will become captain. For becoming captain, he has to prove his competence again. His conduct has to be good, he has to be knowledgeable, and only after that he will be you can say becoming captain, and thereafter then he is able to earn $6,000 plus. The work pattern generally on ship it ranges from 3 to 9 months depending on rank. Officers on board have you can say at operational level as well as at management level. So one does a 4 on 4 off 4 on 8 off type of watch schedule. So one will be doing 2 watches on ship, that is for navigation purposes, going from place A to place B. During that time, because the ship is moving all the time, it moves 24 hours a day, so therefore the ship has to be manned 24 hours, and the watch schedules are 4-hour watches are there. So that's how, so one does 4 hours, then 8 hours off, again does 4 hours and 8 hours off. During 8 hours also there is some other work which needs to be done related with maintenance and other responsibilities what an officer has. So it is, but overall it is a good pattern of work. Responsibilities of a nautical officer, so basically navigation of ship, maintenance of the ship, care of cargo the ship is carrying, also in the port when the vessel is in, you can say when the ship is alongside a berth, then there will be loading and discharging of cargo. So during that operation he has to make sure that the cargo is being loaded and discharged properly, so that also is part of his job. These are the different ranks. Deck cadet is a training you can say scenario. After his doing pre-sea, then he is deck cadet when he is doing his 18 months of sea service. Thereafter the COC comes in, so he has to pass his exam to become third officer. Third officer, after serving as third officer, to become second officer there is no need to pass any exam, so it is based on performance. After second officer, to become chief officer he has to pass exam as mate foreign going. So once he passes that exam, then he becomes chief officer. Then as chief officer again he has to sail for a certain period, appear for an exam to become master. So master is the captain of the ship, and that is the highest rank one can achieve on a vessel. Current wages, or you can say average salary structure, is $250 to $400 per month stipend during the training one receives, and then as a junior officer one receives $1,500 to $2,500, and senior officer, that means chief officer, is $3,000 to $5,000 per month, and master chief engineer is $500, $8,000 plus. Coming to the next is engineering. So we talked about deck department. Rating I am not talking because there is already excess of rating in the market. So therefore there is a no, we can say one does not have a good career option as rating. So it is a very difficult option as far as ratings are concerned. But as far as officers are concerned, it is a very, very bright career for officers. However, presently also we are looking in at the DG shipping. It is being looked at how to, you can say, get the ratings to become officer. So there is a scheme for ratings also to come into the officer side. So it is not that, but ratings is not a good career. Now coming to the next department, which is the engine department. So how to become a marine engineer. So entry schemes for engineering scheme, again medical fitness requirement is slightly different from deck officer, because deck officer one has to navigate. That means he should be able to his eye vision must be good. But in case of engine department, slightly, because one can use glasses, that means the vision, there is some relaxation as far as vision is concerned. Medical standard, general, healthy physique, free from mental physical disability. Glasses, contact glasses may be worn in case of engineers. Eyesight should not exceed plus minus 2.5, and no color blindness in case of engineers also. Entry schemes for engine officers, so there is 1 year course in marine engineering. Academic qualification, now this is for B mechanical, that means entry scheme for graduate engineers, so who can come into this scheme. So they should be B mechanical or with engineering naval architecture with minimum 50% marks in final year, and age requirements for them is 24 years. Then there is another scheme for 6 months course in marine engineering. So graduation in B engineering from AICTE approved college or university, and the age requirement for them is 25 years. Then entry scheme for engine officers, 5 months course for training electronic officers. So that is a TEO, which is not it is not a very good option. It is for electrical officers. So they are they come in between support and operational level. So generally operation level engineers as far as wages are concerned, and they are called techno electrical officers or electrical officers. So that's a different scheme. In case of engine cadet career progression, so there is one moves from engine cadet. And the engine cadet is again for engineers also, there is a requirement for sea service. It varies from different scheme to scheme, but generally 1 year of sea time would be required in case of engineering cadet. And so during that time, once one can be called as junior engineer also. And in case of engineers, so one passes the exam which is called class 4 exam, and then it is either 4th engineer or junior engineer. So in some companies junior engineer may be engine cadet may be also called as junior engineer, but in otherwise it would be after passing class 4 exam. Thereafter he again sails for some sea time is there for him also, and then he has to sit for exam which is second year exam. For third engineer, for second year exam, he has to give class 2 exam, so to become third engineer. To become chief engineer, he has to give first engineer exam, and between second year and first engineer again there is a sailing time requirement. He has to sail to become chief engineer. Other options in the shipping industry are basically working in saloon department, where degree in hotel management from reputed institute, one does a saloon course, or other you can say he has got what we call it as chief stewards. So or we also you can say they are from hospitality department, and they can come into this scheme. But presently, though it is a growing industry, but in India there is not much demand at this moment for this industry. One can work also as an administrator on board ships, but again that is not a very lucrative option at this moment. So what one has to do? So one must appear for either, it depends on one's caliber, one choosing his option. So either he can take a IIT joint entrance exam, and there he has to fill in a choice of joining TS Chanakya or taking to Mary. Then, or the second option is also where one appears for IGNOU exam, which is open net exam after 10+2, that eligibility requirement which I have already talked about, 10+2 PCM requirement. Then one can also keep lookout for shipping companies ad which comes in mainly English newspapers. They start coming in case of batch starting in August, they start coming sometime in when the 10+2 results come out. At about that time, these results, the companies start to advertise, and they do their own interviews as well as examination. So that is one. Then keep in contact with basically when you go on the website, there is a website www.dgshipping.com, so where one can see all the eligibility criteria related with different career as well as different institutes. The list of approved institutes is there on this website, and you can send your queries etc. to the institutes, and they would reply to you whatever your queries are pertaining to joining or taking to Merchant Navy. So that is what one can do. So one needs to monitor all national dailies from different shipping companies, as well as advertisement coming in newspaper. In case of IGNOU, it has already come for the batch which is likely to start in January.
No, this February.
This time February. So the batch will be starting on 1st February. So for that, the advertisement is already come in the newspapers. And what is the last?
Yes, no, something we have to add here is that when you are coming as a sponsored candidate and you are not appearing in the entrance examination conducted by IGNOU, then in that situation one is required to have a higher percentage of PCM marks. In case the candidates who are passing 10+2, IGNOU examination, that is open net examination, there the requirement at 10+2 level is 55% marks in PCM, whereas if you are a sponsored candidate but not coming through entrance examination conducted by OpenNet, then you are required to have 60% marks in PCM. So that is the difference there.
Yes.
Then as we were talking about the saloon rating or the saloon department, we were talking like the person from the hotel or hospitality industry, they can also come in shipping, because you see the cruise ships are also slowly becoming popular. So once they become popular, certainly such people will also have some options here in shipping as well. And what people should take care is that they should not fall in the hands of touts, and they need not pay any money to anybody to come into this profession, because that has been the emphasis of Indira Gandhi National University as well as of Directorate General of Shipping. See, earlier this program used to be of 3.5 months duration only. People were not getting their bachelor degree, and once they used to leave this career, then they used to find it very difficult, though these people had earned very good money being on board, but still they were not called graduates. To overcome that situation also, and that people have earned money but they want some shore-based jobs. So to overcome that problem, this BSc Nautical Science program of Indira Gandhi National University, and it is basically a joint venture of Indira Gandhi National University and the Directorate General of Shipping. So that is how this program was conceived. And the beauty of this is, like when we were comparing with TS Chanakya, in TS Chanakya, if that BSc program, which is the entry is through IIT JEE, there the person has to complete all his 3 years BSc program. Once you completely clear it, then only you are allowed to go for on-board training.
Yes, yes.
As a deck cadet. Whereas in case of IGNOU DGS program, what IGNOU is organizing is that after 1 year of training, you go for on-board training of 18 months, and during that period you earn certain wages. They vary from $200 to $500 US dollars,
yes,
as you informed. And so you see, and during that 18 months, that is also counting towards your BSc program as well, because whatsoever work you are doing on board, you are required to submit certain assignments from that, and whatsoever work you are doing, that is itself is getting documented in our cadets record book, and that is being sent to our training institutes. And ultimately then we have also devised a mechanism in which when you come from your ship, then you have to appear for certain examinations, and then 18 months this training of on board, 12 months PC at a training institute, followed by another 6 months training, total 4 months basically, isn't it?
No, 2 months of modular courses they have to go through. So therefore it becomes 6 months total.
Okay, so total 6 months training, again post-C training, and thereafter one appears for the second mate competency examination of which is conducted by Directorate General of Shipping, and this 6th semester the whole examination or whatsoever exam they appear and pass there, the whole credit is given in by IGNOU, and that is how the whole package of 6th semester program of BSc Nautical Science program is there. So one gets a degree of BSc in Nautical Science, as well as one gets the certificate of competency from DG Shipping, and that is how one go, and of course several things are left for discussion. So perhaps in future we will organize another lecture on the same thing, and there we will clear all these what we have not discussed because of the lack of time.
Any questions are there that probably either one can send email to me, IV Solanki @airaiworld.com, or one can go to the DG Shipping site, which is www.dgshipping.com.
As well as IGNOU's website.
As well as
we have put
website.
all the prospectus, all the details. What we are looking is that a person must have good communication skills. Yeah, that is very much important. And if we have some cadets here, so if they have some questions.
Any questions?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sir, there is a course called dual course.
Would you stand up and yeah, please.
Sir, in Chennai, I met in Chennai. There's a course called dual course.
Yes.
4 years.
Yeah.
So what is the advantage? Is there any advantage of doing that course? 4 years course.
See, what we can tell is that DG recognizes if you have to serve on any Indian vessel, it is the DG approved course only. If it is DG approved, go ahead. If it is not, just leave it. That is what we can advise. Anything?
No,
Would you like to add to it?
what he is saying is dual scheme, which is also sort of polyvalent scheme, which is run by LBS. So it's a combined scheme where one can choose a career to go on both sides. So one can become deck officer as well as an engineer option, and one can remain a dual certified. That means one has to comply with both. So initial training is you can say the pre-C training of both the components of deck and engineering is combined into it, and to become a dual certification, so one has to fulfill the requirement of C time of both of them, and then appear for the exam, which will be a dual ticket. So that's a dual certification.
Okay, anything else? Yeah, please.
As the exchange rates of dollars are coming down, what actions are being taken about the salary of merchant navy officers?
As I said that the wages are already on the rise, and the shipping management companies, because at present I said there is a shortage of officers, so the wages are already increasing, and since the dollar is falling, so that is also being taken into account by the management companies, and salaries have subsequently increased. So they are
the
not
simple thing of economics says demand and supply. If the supply is less, demand is there, so ultimately you will get compensated. It will automatically happen. If they will not find the suitable persons, the number of persons are less, and they want to retain it, so certainly they will have to pay. Okay, anything else? Okay, so thank you very much for patiently listening to us. Thank you, Captain Solanki,
Thank you.
for being with us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.